Hello, friends of Oak Hills. This is Pastor Dale coming to you for our weekly video Touchpoint. Today is Thursday, February 23rd, 2023. For our Points to Ponder article today, I have one that is titled Hypocrisy in the Church. Are you a hypocrite? I have never heard of anyone openly admit that he or she was a hypocrite. In some brutally honest moments, I have heard someone say they have acted hypocritically at some point in the past, but never have I ever heard someone openly state, I am a hypocrite. I imagine that you would not make that statement today either. Have you ever called someone a hypocrite? Let's admit it, we are far more likely to accuse someone of hypocrisy before we would ever admit to being a hypocrite. It is the easy way out from associating with a person or a group of people we don't like. People avoid the church because they believe it is full of hypocrites. So what is the truth about hypocrisy? The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines hypocrisy as a feigning to be what one is not or to believe what one does not. Behavior that contradicts what one claims to believe or feel. There is an incongruity between what one believes and how one behaves. Oftentimes there is deception, hence the word feigning, involved, because we do not want people to discover that incongruity. By this definition, the Apostle Paul confesses hypocrisy when he says in Romans 7:15, I do not do what I want, but I do the very thing I hate. Mark Jones, in his book, Knowing Sin, writes, all are by nature born hypocrites. There are three types of hypocrites. Number one, natural hypocrisy, which affects every human heart and is on display in every natural person. Number two, soul-destroying religious hypocrisy, which speaks to those who put on a good show outwardly, but inwardly hate all forms of true holiness. And number three, occasional hypocrisy, which applies to Christians who are not unsaved hypocrites like the Pharisees, but can act inconsistently to their confession from time to time. End quote. I appreciate Mark Jones's humble honesty in this quote. Everyone is a hypocrite at some level. We all have incongruities or inconsistencies in our lives between what we believe and how we behave. But it is important to affirm that there are three types of hypocrisy. Typically, when we accuse someone of hypocrisy, we're thinking of that second type, the soul-destroying religious hypocrisy, which speaks to those who put on a good show outwardly, but inwardly hate all forms of true holiness. Unfortunately, though, what we call out as hypocrisy is more likely either the first or third type of hypocrisy. No regenerate believer can be guilty of that second type of hypocrisy. We tend to exaggerate the inconsistency of others while downplaying or even overlooking our very own inconsistencies. So what are we to do about hypocrisy in the church? I suggest three things. Number one, be slower to accuse others of hypocrisy. Yes, this other may be acting inconsistently with a Christian confession, but the accusation of hypocrisy is a relationship destroyer. People hear it only as that second type of hypocrisy and they become defensive. What is gained by calling someone a hypocrite? Number two, with humility, admit your own hypocrisy. We all act inconsistently from time to time. If we were more humble in acknowledging this openly, like the Apostle Paul in Romans 7, we would be less inclined to make the accusation against others. In fact, if we do not readily confess our sin, becomes unconfessed sin, and unconfessed sin becomes a poison in our souls, corrupting all areas of our lives. Proverbs 28:13 says, "Whoever conceals his transgressions will not prosper, but he who confesses and forsakes them will obtain mercy." And number 3, let's live consistently with the truth of the gospel. In the gospel, we freely admit we are sinners, saved by grace through faith in Jesus Christ. For gospel-believing people, there should be no surprise when someone sins. It's what we do. It's human nature. Yes, the power of the gospel is sanctifying us, making us more holy. But until Christ returns or the day we die, we will never be free from the corruption of sin. The problems with hypocrisy come in when we operate in ways contrary to the truth of the gospel. We either claim to be holier than others because of our own abilities, or we try to hide our sin. Both of these tendencies are fertilizer for hypocrisy and are inconsistent with the gospel. In the truth of the gospel, we acknowledge we are more sinful and flawed than we ever dared believe, and we are more accepted and loved than we ever dared hope. A couple highlights to touch on here in the life of Oak Hills this week. Wrapping up the month of February. This is our last week to be thinking of and praying for the Dunnings as our missionaries of the month. Of course, you could be praying for them and thinking of them all year round. You don't have to wait until they are highlighted as a missionary of the month, but be praying for them, especially in this next week. Their ministry on the Kansas State University campus with Reformed University Fellowship. Secondly, this Sunday is a special Sunday for multiple reasons. First of all, we have a new adult Christian education class launching this Sunday. This class is going to be exploring this strange new world and what does it mean to live as Christians, faithful followers of Christ, in this strange new world. The title, Strange New World, is coming from a book written by Carl Trueman, where he explores the philosophical and psychological and even the cultural trends that have shaped and influenced our understanding of what it means to be self, our understanding of identity. And we want to be thinking about those in those terms and then evaluating a biblical response. What does it mean to be a biblical community living in this strange new world? So I'd love to have you join us as we dive into the various topics related to that. Also this Sunday, there is a meeting for our summer missions trip serving with Sacred Road Ministries on the Warm Springs Reservation in Warm Springs, Oregon. If you're interested in being part of this team, serving for the week of 4th of July, it's the first week of July, we would love for you to be part of this meeting. It's on Sunday following our worship service at noon. Contact Pastor John with questions or if you're interested in going. The next Wednesday is the first Wednesday of the month, March 1st. And as we do each month, we want to begin our month with prayer together. Love for you to join us in prayer. It is such a needed and a rich blessing for the community of faith to join together and praying together. I'd love for you to be a part of that next Wednesday. And the last thing I want to highlight is that we have our dates for Joyplosion this summer. It'll be June 6th, 7th, and 8th, and Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evening. I would love for you to already mark your calendar, make that a highlight for your summer. Plan for kids to be involved. If you have kids, plan to volunteer and serve. Plan to invite people to come. We would love this to be a significant outreach, a significant ministry to families and children in our own neighborhood and community. Would love for you to have that on your radar and plan to be a part of that. Well, that's the highlights for this week. We look forward to seeing you soon. Pray that God will bless you this weekend. See you soon.